Stop scrolling. This coin could change your life. Don't ignore this. Right now, if there's a 1-cent penny anywhere near you and the date ends in a 3, do not spend it. I'm serious. Some rare pennies connected to the right year, mint mark, and condition have sold for over $30,000. Yes, for a single penny. And here's what nobody talks about. The less people know about these coins, the easier they are for collectors to grab from circulation. So before you spend your next penny, check your pocket, check your change jar, check your car console, because the next coin you overlook could be worth far more than 1 cent. And trust me, from here the coins only get rarer, scarier, and more valuable. Stay with me until the end. This is Numismatic Vault Extra, USA, United States. And these coins change everything. Money bag. A 1927 penny worth $10,000. Yes. See how much a no mint mark 1927 wheat penny, a 1927 D penny, a 1927 S penny, and a 1927 penny error are worth today. Want to know how much your 1927 penny is worth? I found my first 1927 Lincoln cent in pocket change many years ago. Since it was such an old penny, I immediately wanted to know its value, whether it was rare or not, and if it was worth keeping. There are lots of factors that go into determining the value of 1927 pennies, including the mint mark, the condition of the coin, whether or not it contains any errors. Today I'm going to tell you how to find the value of your 1927 wheat penny. All 1927 penny values. I know why you're reading this article. You want to find out how much your 1927 wheat penny is worth, and not just the value for a perfect version of the 1927 Lincoln cent, but what your coin is really worth. I've got it. Here's a rundown on the different types of 1927 pennies and what they're worth in varying conditions. Number 1. 1927 no mint mark penny value. Pennies that were made at the Philadelphia Mint in 1927 have no mint mark under the date. Not finding a mint mark under the date of 1927 Philadelphia Lincoln cents is normal, because the Philadelphia Mint didn't place P mint marks on any of its coin in 1927. 1927 wheat pennies are pretty common, as 144,440,000 were minted. Even though you may not find old pennies from 1927 in your pocket change very often, plenty of them have been saved by coin collectors, so they generally aren't rare coins. However, even the most well-worn examples of the no mint mark 1927 wheat penny are worth more than face value. In heavily worn condition, they're worth about 15 to 25 cents. Nicer examples with only a little wear are worth $1 to $2. If you find an uncirculated 1927 Lincoln cent in an old collection or estate, the value is $10 to $20 or more. What is the most valuable 1927 penny? Would you believe at least one 1927 wheat penny took more than $10,000 in an auction transaction? Next up, 1939 penny value. See how much a 1939 wheat penny, a 1939 D penny, a 1939 S penny are worth. Some are worth more than $20,000. Do you have a 1939 penny and want to know what it's worth? I've come across many 1939 pennies over the years and found that some are worth quite a bit of money. In fact, some are worth thousands of dollars for real. To help you determine how much your 1939 wheat penny is worth, follow along as I reveal how to tell the difference between a rare 1939 wheat penny that's quite valuable and common 1939 pennies that are worth only a few cents. How much all 1939 Lincoln wheat cents are worth. A list of 1939 pennies you should be looking for in your pocket change, the most popular 1939 penny errors and varieties you could actually find in your spare change. Okay, now let's see how much your 1939 Lincoln wheat cent is worth. How much is a 1939 penny worth? How much your 1939 wheat penny is worth depends mostly on these three things: the mint mark on your coin, or absence of one, your coin's condition, or state or preservation, any errors or varieties that might be evident on your coin. Those are the three factors that play the biggest role when determining any coin's value, and it's especially true with old wheat pennies. Wheat pennies are very popular with coin collectors. Those that are in excellent condition and or have errors or varieties are worth much more than a typical wheat penny. Also, mint marks, or the lack of one, indicate which United States mint facility struck the coin, which can tell you how scarce your coin is. Some 1939 pennies are much less common than others, depending on where they were minted. 1939 wheat penny value, no mint mark. The most common 1939 Lincoln cent is the kind struck at the Philadelphia Mint. On these Philly minted wheat pennies, you won't find any mint mark, that little letter you see under the date on some Lincoln cents. The Philadelphia Mint struck a total of 316,466,000 pennies in 1939, and a great many of these are still around. Well-worn 1939 Philly minted pennies are worth 5 cents to 10 cents, while examples in unworn or uncirculated condition can usually fetch $20,000 more. The record price for a 1939 wheat penny is the $9,775 paid in 2006 for an MS 68 red specimen graded by Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS. A list of rare 1939 penny errors and varieties. Errors and varieties can be tricky for some coin collectors to accurately spot. The truth is, most of the photos I've seen of coins that their owners believe have a valuable error or variety are unfortunately just post-mint damage or alterations. For example, coins with holes, weird scratches, and bends are various forms of damaged and altered coins that people commonly find in their pocket change. That said, these are some of the 1939 wheat penny errors you should be looking for. 1939 doubled die pennies. Double die errors are created when the hub, which imprints a design onto the working die, imprints the design twice upon the die, and at two slightly different angles. The doubled image on the die is then struck onto every coin the die creates. In some cases, the die isn't replaced until it's old and worn out. However, often a mint employee recognizes the error, removes the die, and destroys any double die coins he or she can find. In all cases, double die coins are scarce and highly collectible. 1939 pennies, with BIE varieties and other die breaks. 1939 pennies, with BIE varieties and other die breaks. A die break occurs when an aging die begins to show signs of extreme wear and tear. Die cracks present themselves as raised lines on the struck coin. The value and collectability of such a coin depends on the size of the crack and its location. One of the most popular types of die cracks is one that commonly forms between the B and E of Liberty on the obverse of the coin, just to the left of Lincoln. These are known as so-called BI varieties because the small, vertical die crack takes the form of a capital letter I. BI varieties are typically worth $5 to $10. 1939 off-center pennies. Off-center strikes occur when either the die is misaligned or a coin is struck outside of its retaining collar. The value of an off-center strike depends on how drastic the error is and the visibility of the date. The most valuable types of off-center errors are those in which the coin is severely off-square, and yet the date is still fully visible. Most 1939 off-center pennies that are, say, 10% to 20% off-center are worth around $25. However, pieces exhibiting 50% or more off-center variation have a value of $75 to $100 or more. 1939 pennies, with repunched mint marks. In the 1930s, the mint mark was individually hand-punched onto each working die. This opened up many opportunities for cases in which the stamp would be punched not just once, but multiple times, and at various angles, or in different places. There are thousands of known varieties involving repunched mint marks across all Lincoln cents, including some among the 1939 pennies. Most are worth $3 to $5 apiece. 1939 pennies, with clip planchets. Sometimes coins are incorrectly punched out of the long, thin metal strips from which the blanks derive. These clipped planchet errors present as straight, sometimes crescent-shaped cuts going into the coin. If you find a 1939 penny with a clip, be sure to hang on to it. Clip planchets are neat errors that are worth anywhere from $10 to $25 apiece. 1939 counter-stamped pennies next up. The story of the 1924 Lincoln wheat penny begins more than a century ago, in a world that looked very different from today. The year 1924 belonged to an era when America was rapidly transforming through industry, culture, and innovation. Automobiles were becoming common on the roads, radios were entering living rooms, and the nation was experiencing the vibrant spirit of the Roaring Twenties. Yet in the pockets of millions of Americans was a simple copper coin worth only 1 cent. That tiny coin, the wheat penny, would quietly travel through countless hands and decades of history, eventually becoming a fascinating treasure for collectors around the world. The wheat penny itself was part of the famous Lincoln wheat cent, one of the most recognizable coin series in American history. Introduced in 1909, this coin marked a revolutionary moment for U.S. currency because it was the first regular coin to feature the portrait of a real person. The honored figure was Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States and one of the most respected leaders in American history. His calm and thoughtful profile on the coin symbolized unity, strength, and perseverance. The design of the coin was created by the talented sculptor Victor David Brenner, whose artistic vision gave the penny its timeless appearance. On the front side of the coin, known as the obverse, Lincoln's profile faces to the right. Above his head appear the words, "In God We Trust," while the word liberty stands proudly to the left. Beneath Lincoln's portrait sits the year 1924, marking the moment when that particular coin was struck. When collectors talk about a no-mint mark coin, they're referring to pennies produced at the historic United States Mint facility in Philadelphia. During the early 20th century, Philadelphia coins did not carry a mint mark, while coins from other locations like Denver or San Francisco displayed a small letter beneath the date. The absence of that letter tells collectors exactly where the coin was born. In 1924, the Philadelphia Mint produced an enormous number of these pennies. Records show that approximately 75,178,000 coins were struck during that year alone. At the time, nobody imagined that a coin produced in such large numbers would one day become an object of fascination for historians and collectors. Coin trackers +1. The reverse side of the coin reveals the design that gave the wheat penny its famous nickname. 2 graceful wheat stalks stretch upward along the left and right edges of the coin, symbolizing agriculture and prosperity. Between those stalks appear the bold words, 1 cent and United States of America, while above them sits the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many one. This design remained on American pennies for nearly 50 years, until it was replaced in 1959. The coin itself was made primarily from copper, blended with small amounts of tin and zinc. This alloy gave the penny its warm reddish color and a solid feel that collectors still admire today. Each coin weighs about 3.11 grams and measures just over 19 millimeters in diameter. Though tiny, it was built to survive decades of circulation. Coin trackers. Imagine the journey of one of these coins. A brand new penny minted in Philadelphia in 1924 might have been placed in a bank bag and shipped across the country. Perhaps it ended up in a grocery store cash register, or in the pocket of a factory worker buying lunch. Over the years, that same penny might have traveled through countless hands, quietly witnessing moments of everyday life. By the time decades passed, the penny that once bought candy or newspapers had become a historical artifact. Collectors began searching for early wheat pennies because they represented an era of American history long gone. The 1924 version became especially interesting because it was already approaching its 100th birthday. Most 1924 pennies that survive today show heavy wear from decades of use. These circulated coins usually sell for a small premium above face value. In lower grades, they might be worth just a few cents to a couple of dollars, depending on condition. Even so, collectors appreciate them because of their age and connection to the early 20th century. Techmaza. However, the real excitement begins when a coin is discovered in exceptional condition. A penny that has survived nearly untouched, retaining its original bright copper color, can be worth far more. Coins graded in high mint state condition can sell for hundreds of dollars because they are extremely rare. In fact, auction records show that a pristine example of the 1924 Philadelphia wheat penny graded at the very highest level has reached astonishing prices. One top-quality specimen graded MS-67 red sold for more than $38,000, proving that a simple 1-cent coin can sometimes become an extraordinary collectible. CoinValueChecker.com. Stories like this are what fuel the excitement of coin collecting. People begin to wonder whether an old jar of coins sitting in a drawer might contain a hidden treasure. That possibility keeps collectors searching through rolls of pennies, flea markets, and inherited collections. Still, it is important to understand that not every old penny is worth a fortune. The majority of 1924 wheat pennies are common in circulated condition. Their value depends heavily on factors such as color, wear, and rarity. Coins with full red luster from the original minting process are the most valuable, while brown coins with heavy oxidation are usually less expensive. The fascination with wheat pennies also connects collectors to American history. During the 1920s, the United States was experiencing dramatic social change. Jazz music filled dance halls, silent films captivated audiences, and cities grew rapidly as people moved from rural areas to urban centers. Every penny circulating during that time carried the energy of that remarkable decade. Some collectors believe the greatest value of a coin is not its price, but its story. A penny minted in 1924 has lived through the Great Depression, World War II, the space race, and the digital age. It has silently witnessed nearly a century of global change. Even today, wheat pennies still appear occasionally in circulation, especially in old coin jars or inherited collections. Discovering one can feel like uncovering a small piece of history. It is a reminder that everyday objects can carry extraordinary stories if we take the time to look closely. Many collectors build entire collections of wheat pennies from 1909 through 1958, searching for every date and mint mark combination. The challenge of completing such a set keeps the hobby exciting. Some coins are easy to find, while others require years of patience. The 1924 wheat penny without a mint mark may not always make someone instantly rich, but it still holds a special place in the world of coin collecting. It represents craftsmanship, history, and the enduring legacy of American currency. So if you ever discover an old copper penny with wheat stalks on the back and the year 1924 beneath Lincoln's portrait, take a moment before spending it. You may be holding a coin that has traveled through 100 years of history, an ordinary piece of money that has quietly become an extraordinary artifact.